Listen, I think Microsoft has come a long way from what they used to be in terms of a few years ago. And I think that, they'll continue to get better. They'll continue to expand. They'll continue to kind of, get out of their own way, so to speak. And I think that that's going to be important going forward. The problem is you still have a lot of these like Xbox fanboys who get up in their feelings anytime somebody critiques Microsoft and Xbox as a whole. And that's really the wrong way to look at it, right? Like, look, I'm a PlayStation fan, I'm an Xbox fan. I'm not going to get pissed off if somebody critiques PlayStation, because if they critique PlayStation, it probably needed to be critiqued in the first place. Now, a lot of people jump on the entire thing of everything is media bias. If you say something bad about Xbox, it's media bias. If you say something positive about PlayStation, it's media bias. I mean, we keep seeing this literally all the time, and I don't understand exactly where that's come from, because again, people are gonna, these companies are gonna do both good and bad things, right? And what I mean by that is Xbox isn't gonna just do good things. If anything, if you guys have learned anything, right, please learn the fact that, honestly, look, everybody thought Xbox was doing so great, right? Oh, Xbox is doing great. They're so pro-consumer. And what did they do in the middle of all of this supposed greatness? They up and decided one day to try and raise gold prices 100% overnight. And of course, they get called out on it. Of course, it's a situation where, people were very upfront and honest and said, hey, they shouldn't have done this or they shouldn't have done that. And that's exactly kind of my point. Listen, Microsoft is going to do things that are stupid and that don't make any sense, even though a lot of people consider them to be super pro-consumer. PlayStation is going to mess up too. You have that whole "we believe in generations" nonsense, and then they go and do, the exact opposite. So neither one of these companies are guilt-free when it comes to this kind of stuff. But when it does come to like a lot of some of these sites and stuff talking about Xbox or whatever, you still have those jaded fanboys on the Xbox side that really kind of give it all a bad name. And I know people think that's rich coming from me, but that's the honest truth. Now I want to get into this because I do find this to be a little bit interesting and funny. So let's get down to it. Hey, what's up, everybody? It's me, Crap Gaming, back with another video. You guys have been fantastic. Such a good audience, good videos, bring in good audiences, and I have the best audience around. If you could do me a solid and slap that like button, slap it for me, slap it left, slap it right, slap it up, slap it down, slap Phil Spencer, slap your mamas, let's slap everybody in town. Let's go, rack them up. So anyway, so far, a lot of people gave Microsoft's E3 a solid score. I gave it a 7 out of 10, which I thought was a very solid score. But looking at WCCF Tech, they did a review of E3 in general, the highs, the lows, and things like that. And one of their lows was Microsoft's missing lineup, right? The same thing that I said, and I got a bunch of hate and crap for it. So they said much of Microsoft's lineup is MIA. As solid as the 2021 Xbox calendar looks, the number of big Microsoft projects missing in action at E3 2021 was hard to overlook. Games like Perfect Dark, the new Fable, and Obsidian's Avowed weren't even mentioned. Meanwhile, Rare's Everwild has reportedly been completely rebooted and won't be arriving until 2024 at least. And Senua's Saga Hellblade 2 is somehow still stuck in pre-production. Again, I applaud Microsoft for actually laying down some release dates, and they can't show everything at every E3. But it was hard to just feel, just a little let down by their showing. And they also go on to mention Halo as a shrug. Halo Infinite is what it is. And they said the following: given its disappointing debut last year, all eyes were on Halo Infinite this year. And while 343's Industries didn't fumble, they didn't exactly run it in for a touchdown either. Our new look at the campaign mostly focused on talking heads, keeping anything graphics hounds might criticize hidden. Meanwhile, the game's multiplayer looks fun, but not exactly groundbreaking. With the move to free-to-play seemingly being the main selling or not selling point, 343 have vowed to use the extra year of development time to its fullest. But despite their promises, I wouldn't expect a stunning turnaround. Halo Infinite is going to be what it is, namely a solid old school shooter with some fun free multiplayer that isn't going to push the genre forward in any major way. And that's fine, but set your expectations accordingly. Now, they literally got shredded for their takes on this. A lot of people just, attacking them, thinking, saying a lot of different things that I don't really understand, because they overall gave Microsoft positive traction, positive reactions for their E3. But when you do look at their lineup, it's the same thing that I said. Like, why would you have been crazy to think that you would have saw something from Perfect Dark or Hellblade 2 or Avowed or Fable? I mean, if you think about it, Everwild and Hellblade 2 were both announced in 2019. We're in 2021. Phil Spencer said in 2018 that he wasn't going to announce games that were 2 to 3 years out, show trailers for games that were still 2 to 3 years out. So again, there's some kind of lie caught up in here when it comes to, what's being said by the head of Xbox and actually what's being done by these companies themselves. So I find that to be very interesting, to say the least, because when you look at this and you go, okay, well, what's going on here? You kind of scratch your head a bit, because the games that they showed off in 2019 and 2020 seem to all be at least 2023, 2024, and maybe even beyond that in terms of release dates. And so what was the point in showing them in 2019 and 2020 other than the fact that you had nothing else? But again, we know that there's nothing else because we can see with our own eyes. Like, I've been saying this for a while now, for the last 2 years. Microsoft hasn't released a AAA Xbox exclusive in almost 2 years. And that's just the truth of the matter. And I talk about game, not flight simulator. Again, by Phil Spencer's own definition, that's not a game. So, we're just talking about video games here, first party. They haven't released we're almost into the 7th month of the year, and there hasn't been a first-party, big, small, or in between first-party game released by Microsoft this entire year. I've never seen anything like that, because this is literally the new generation, and they haven't released anything. So, yeah, the critiques are perfectly fine, and I'm okay with that. I think that, Microsoft is out here kind of, critiquing, critiquing these things. There's nothing wrong with that. Listen, with Microsoft anyway, people are going to continue to critique it because they don't trust Microsoft, and that's going to be a big problem going forward. A lot of people don't understand that that's why that happens. It's people don't trust Microsoft, and I can understand why they don't trust Microsoft, because Microsoft really has not given anybody a reason to trust them. And that's the God's honest truth. I mean, if you think about it, because look at the stuff that they promised. Look at the stuff that Phil Spencer says versus what he actually goes out there and does. It's a complete and utter kind of different kind of scenario where we see this. So I do hope that people understand where I'm coming from with this stuff. It's not blind hate on Xbox. They had a heck of a E3, but that's not saying much given the last 3, 4, 5 E3s that they've had. So I hope that people understand that. And I hope that people understand why people have been so insistent on kind of, being honest about where Xbox is as a whole. I think that it's very important to remember that, just going forward. And hopefully you guys understand where that's coming from. It doesn't mean that it's okay to attack these people. Like, Phil Spencer has been caught lying multiple times now, I don't understand why that's such a thing where people just honestly don't believe it. So, yeah, I think that's, a great thing where people get called out for this stuff. So, yeah, absolutely incredible to see this. Absolutely incredible to see so many fans kind of be honest and talk about this. Yeah, I love this. I love the fact that, they've kind of, set the record straight. Hey, they had a good E3, but they didn't show this or that or this or that. You know what I mean? Like, that's very interesting to me. That when people actually can be critical of their brand that they like, and not everybody lose their crap over it. So that's what I'm talking about. That's exactly what I think fans are going to be excited for in the future, when you actually have people that are being honest about the future instead of just trying to hide it and cover it up with nonsense. So with that being said, I will link the article in question and you guys can check it out. Let me know what you think. Rack 'em up, slap the like button. Crapgamer out.